I have been using the Google Pixel 7 for 3 weeks, and in this video I will give you guys my thoughts. I have been posting daily videos based on my experiences so far, so please check those out after this video if you haven't already. This is the 3-week recap version. It is hard to summarize everything in a 10-minute video, so I'll keep doing those daily videos for you. The price is probably one of the best thing about this phone. It starts off at $600 and it is great value for a base model. Samsung's base models start off at $800 for the smaller Galaxy S22, but I don't think that phone is worth $200 more than the Google Pixel 7. Same story with the iPhone 14, it also starts off at $800. Google is 25% cheaper, yet deliver performance on par with these guys. One of the main reasons why you would want to get a Pixel is for the camera. Google have one of the best smartphone camera using AI technology, so you can't go wrong here. Videos are solid too, but the experts would tell you that the iPhone video is better. For me, during the day, the video quality looks awesome. Once the sun set, or if you are in a dark restaurant, then just forget about recording videos. Night photos are great though, on the other hand, but this haven't always been the case. Smartphones used to struggle with night photos even a few years back, but they have made significant progress since then, and the Pixel is no exception. It does have a dual camera in the back, including the main camera and the wide-angle camera. Apologies for the audio sounding a little bit funky in this video. For some reason it was recording from my webcam mic, so it may sound inconsistent as I switch back and forth. It is missing the macro camera, which you can only get in the Pro model for $300 more. Once again, I still don't think that's worth it. For the size, 6.3 inch is perfect for me. You still have to slide your fingers back and forth to reach the corner of the phone, but it doesn't feel like you're holding a tablet in one hand compared to the Pro model. I do like that it is still usable with one hand. I used the 6A in the past as well, and the 6.1 inch does feel more like a mini phone based on today's standards. Of course, it's all personal preferences at this point, but I think 6.3 inch is a nice blend of having a large enough screen, yet still manageable to use with one hand. Once you start crossing over to the 6.5 inch and above, I do get nervous using those phones with one hand. It gets much heavier and harder to maneuver. It's also, I feel like I might drop them. Confidence level do reduce significantly when handling the larger devices. 6.3 inches is pretty easy to navigate around. I don't really use cases with my phone, and I never come close to dropping the Pixel 7. This year's model is a little bit shorter and more narrow compared to the Pixel 6 last year, but you don't really notice the difference on a day-to-day basis. The display is super bright, no issues in sunlight at all. When you compare it to the Super AMOLED display on the Galaxy S22, it does feel a little more dull when you look at them side by side. But on a day-to-day basis, my eyes do adjust to it and you don't really notice or wish the screen was brighter. I think it is bright enough for the price, and if you do want a brighter screen, you will need to pay more. Pixel 7 comes with a 90Hz refresh rate. I have been turning it off recently just to save some battery, but I don't think it's helping that much, and I've been too lazy to turn it back on. The smooth scrolling is there for those who really want it. It does not have 120 Hz, but the difference between 90 and 120 is not too significant unless you're comparing two phones side by side. But even then, I don't even think it's that serious. But once again, at a $600 price, you do have to make some trade-off, and I'm okay with them sacrificing the 120 Hz and just sticking with the 90. Performance-wise, Google is using the G2 chip this year. It is a slight upgrade compared to last year, but it is okay. Chips have gotten so good that there is really no need for significant upgrades every year. I'm using my Galaxy S20 on a daily basis. The processor is 2 years old and the phone is still super fast and efficient. This year, Google is focused on upgrading their software, and I'm okay with that. I love the recording app where you can transcribe everything in live time. I use it to take notes for work. Whenever I need to search for a specific term, I can look it up, and I find that to be super useful. I'd rather have more useful software features than getting a tiny upgrade in hardware. I won't notice a 10% faster chip, but I would notice the software integration on a day-to-day basis. Even the screen calling feature is pretty cool. Thank you, Melvin, for pointing it out. This feature is not on by default, so you have to go into the setting and toggle. Actually, you have to go into the phone app where you actually make the phone call. And at the top right hand corner, there are the 3 dots. You click on the dots. you go into settings, and then you turn on screen calling or something like that. It is super useful when you have to call an 800 number. It transcribes all the prompt for you. So if you sit through that whole prompt and you forget what they said with all the options available, you can just read it and select it from there. There are times where I listen to the whole prompt like 2 or 3 times and forget which one I'm supposed to pick. So little things like this do make your life easier, and I do appreciate Google focusing on more of the software upgrade this year. To be honest, any of the flagship phone over the last 2 years, you would have no issues with speed or performance, no lag or anything like that. This is the same story for the brand new Google Pixel. Performance have been great. I heard some complaints about modem issues and phone getting hot. There were at least 3 to 4 times where the phone does feel a little warm to me, but it never gets to the point where it is concerning. I have used a lot of Samsung phones in the past, and those get super hot to the point that I feel like it can almost burn my hand if I leave it on for too long. So the Pixel does get warm here and there, but it is never at the point that it is concerning. Some people complain about the fingerprint scanner not working properly. I haven't had such issue. It is not the fastest sensor compared to the ultrasonic on the S22 model, but it is fast enough. And if you don't want to use the fingerprint sensor, you can always use the face unlock, which is super fast when it is bright. Unless you have poor lighting around, then you would have to rely on the fingerprint more. You still need the fingerprint for a mobile payment since it is more secure. But overall, fingerprint sensor is okay. Much better than the 6 when it was first released last year. It's not game changing. I'll say it's a B or B+. It does the job, but nothing crazy. Pixel 7 does have 8 gigs of RAM, so plenty of power. It is running on the latest Android 13, which is the benefit of using a Google phone. You get the newest software. Unlike using other manufacturers, it takes a while for them to update. Google's a lot faster with updating their software once it's available. Not as fast as Apple, but still pretty fast. Battery is probably the biggest downfall of this phone, no matter how you cut it. I know everyone have different usage and style. On work days, when I don't use my phone as much, I get 12 to 13 hours. On the weekend, when I do go out, take photos, play games, I get anywhere from 7 to 9 hours before the phone dies. So it really all depends. On average, I get anywhere from 4 to 5 hours of screen on time, which is okay if you have a charger with you. I know the standard iPhones are getting 8 to 10 hours for the base model, and even 2 days for the Pro model, which is insane. But for $600, you do have to make some sacrifices. It does have a 30-watt fast charging capability. In theory, you can charge it up to an hour and 15 minutes if you do have the proper brick. If you use other random brick, it may take a little bit slower since it may not maximize the full charging speed. So in general, when I plug it in, I get a full charge anywhere from an hour, 15 minutes to 2 hours, depending on which charger I use, or if I'm actively using the phone while it's charging versus it being off. So it does fluctuate. So for the verdict, the Pixel 7 is best in class in terms of camera. And for a mid-range phone, you don't really get a lot of good camera quality in this price. So I think there's a lot of value here. So the Pixel camera is pretty much going head to head with Samsung and Apple, and it is just as good if not better depending on your personal preferences. Pixel 7 does have a good screen, great performances, Android 13 like I mentioned earlier with 5 years of security updates, so you are good until 2027, definitely future proof there. And Google is still rolling out updates. They're promising new features such as the recording app. Even though today does have transcription, they do plan to have speaker label in the future. I really do look forward to that. So there's a lot to like about the Pixel 7 just in terms of Google's commitment going forward. And it is a promising sign there. Pixel 7 does lack the macro camera, so if you need that, I would look elsewhere. For the front selfie camera, I wish it does have a wide angle selfie camera. I guess you can always turn your phone around and use the main camera as a selfie camera, but then you wouldn't be able to frame yourself. Or you can just utilize the super shiny back and use the reflection to do your best to frame yourself that way. Battery life is pretty mediocre for moderate to heavy users like myself. And in general, I feel like the charging speed does feel a little slow based on today's standard, especially since it doesn't have the best battery life. I wish that it does have faster charging. But overall, it is still an excellent phone for the price. I do look forward to using the Google Pixel 7 on vacation to capture more great photos. I'll make sure to bring a battery pack and keep you guys updated. Please check out my daily videos for more in-depth coverage if you haven't already. On day 17, I focus more on cinematic mode. Let me know if you have the Pixel 7 and what have been your experiences so far. If you don't have it, let me know if you do plan to get it, or do you just plan to wait for the next phone. Thanks for making it this far. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.